Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 103 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on March 1st, 2022. How you folks doing? Great, I hope. I was doing some preparation for some weapons effects research today. It was pretty dope. It's not PEW Science, but it's other stuff I do, and it was really cool. And I thought about how cool it would be to tell you all about it, but I can't. That's the nature of it. But and just know that it will take a lot of my time later this year, most likely. So if I go dark for a little bit, you'll know why. But just know that I'm doing something cool. Yeah. So now I did ask how you folks were doing, like I typically do. But I do know that some of you are not having the best day today, and that would be the Form 1 silencer guys. I'm going to touch on that topic on today's episode. Our thoughts are with you. Silencers, though, silencers. If you're just tuning into the podcast, you may ask, we can have those? Yeah, man, they're legal. They're totally legal for now. I highly urge you to consider learning about them. Consider procuring them, and then maybe procuring some firearms with which you can use said silencers. Well, it might be in your best interest, yeah. One place to procure silencers is from Silencer Shop. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers, probably. This eForm 4 thing, goodness gracious, it's interesting. It's not new, but it's probably new to you, this eForm 4 thing, and Silencer Shop seems to so far be doing it to ATF satisfaction. We are monitoring the situation. Seems to be going relatively smoothly given the numbers, and so that's really all one can hope for, and that the ATF continues to be the bottleneck. That's kind of where we're sitting. Silencer Shop is accurate with what they do relatively. They have a relatively low error rate. They're relatively reliable. So that is the best case scenario, and that's the reason Silencer Shop has grown and continue to grow. And, they continue to innovate. They continue to grow and show that they're able to handle the large logistic hurdles of such efforts. So, you can use their kiosk. You can do their fingerprints and photos electronically there. It's pretty good. Cut down on errors. Simplifies your silencer purchasing process. Money back guarantee, no transfer fees, no paperwork, errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly is silencer ownership simplified, theoretically. Also, guys, if you are looking for ammo, they may or may not have what you want, but you should probably check them out because I think they have pretty good shipping and stuff. True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. There is a link in the show notes of each podcast episode now, also on the website, pewscience.com/podcast. You can look on the show notes there. There's a link to True Shot Gun Club. Click on that link. When you use that link to buy ammunition, it benefits the show, it benefits PEW Science, and it benefits you. Because you get ammo and you have the opportunity to use the code word PEW Science to save $20 off their frequent ammunition buyers club, which you get free shipping with every order. So if you're like me and you buy a lot of ammo, shipping can add up because they got to ship it ground. It's a whole thing. So use code word PEW Science. If you like, get $20 off that program. You win, they win, and you help the podcast. Yeah. And lastly, this podcast is brought to you by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arm weapon systems. Okay, the suppression rating is based on true human sound perception of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone, all the way until the entire gunshot is over. The suppression rating is in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. It is. That's on pewscience.com. It walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencer sound, okay? There's 7 parts. They're all on the website for you to read. Go to pewscience.com, check it out. If you haven't seen it, that's okay. Section 5 has the suppression rating. It's going to pretty much sum this up for you. It's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and the shooter's ear, and it's going to give you a hearing-safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. And that part's important. It's directly tied to human perception. If the rating's higher, it's probably going to sound better to your ears, and it's going to be less damaging to your ears. If the rating is lower, it's probably going to sound louder or harsher, and it's probably going to be higher risk for your ears. Okay, that's really all there is to it. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. Now, if you are really into this stuff, Section 6 of the standard contains very detailed reviews of all the silencers that have been tested publicly, and you can go wild. Okay, and you might say, Jay, that's frankly excessive, and you worry me. I say, well, your opinion is noted and respected. For those of you who are scared to read all of that, which you very well could be, it's not unreasonable. It is quite excessive. Section 7 contains a simple database tool for you to sort and view the suppression rating results. So that's the rankings section. Go wild. Sort it, filter it, bop it, pull it, twist it, whatever you want to do. And then when you find something you like, you click on links to individual reviews, and it'll take you back to Section 6 so you can go full autism. It's fine. Being on the spectrum is not necessarily a bad thing. We all have a little bit of that inside. If you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and consulting services, the forum on the website is there for you to do so. Okay, you can submit that inquiry. It is confidential. Your contact information, any test data we produce as part of an effort, it's all behind closed doors. It's all held in strict confidence. It doesn't go anywhere unless, of course, you would like to release it to the public, in which case PEW Science can help you do that. I will help you do that. And stay tuned. You might be getting some of that data very soon. This happens from time to time, and companies sometimes test with us and say, Jay, these results are pretty good. I think we would like to share these with the world. I say, no problem. I make that happen. I'm happy to do it. I think the industry wins. I think that it's good for the company. It's good for PEW Science. Frankly, it's good for consumers in the industry to see products that have real performance that can be quantified in a real, meaningful way, in a consistent way. PewScience.com. That's right. Now, you can support this podcast. You can support PEW Science. You can support all the testing I do by joining with a membership at PewScience.com. You can. And, if you don't like that recurring thing, it's fine. There are benefits to becoming a member, but maybe you just want to give a little bit to the effort. Well, there's a donate button too. It's on the review page. It's on the podcast page. Every little bit helps. You can donate a little bit, donate a lot of it, or donate nothing at all. Okay. If you don't want to spend any money, which is perfectly reasonable, you can spread the word. It's equally important. You can rate the podcast on iTunes. Give a good 5-star rating there on iTunes. That'll be great. Spotify has a rating section. Hey, guys, the more you rate it on Spotify, I think the more people will get it recommended to them. So we could teach more people about silencers. Could you imagine? People are they're like, oh man, I want to listen to a podcast today. What am I going to listen to? Oh wow, this thing's recommended to me. Wow, he's talking about a machine gun silencer. This is amazing. Wait, we can have machine guns? Next thing you know, you got a new machine gun owner. Could you imagine? And then he tells his friends. Then you got machine gun owners group starts popping up in Middle America. You got people meeting. Sometimes they back in the day they'd have Tupperware parties, on the block there for all the people. Well, they could have machine gun parties. I think we should do that. Make America have machine gun parties again. That should be some kind of slogan. Yeah. That's the goal, though. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms and crew-served weapons, honestly, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, got 3 topics for you today. This is going to be a fast one, guys. The last episode was very long. I'm gonna try to go faster this time. Quite a lot to do, and we're going to see how we can get through it. 3 topics. Topic 1. ATF eForm 1, Mass-Disapprovals. That's right. It's developing. This is actually happening recently, like within the past couple days. Okay, so tell your friends, and I'm going to tell you what I know. Okay, so here's what I know about that. We'll talk about that in topic 1. In topic 2, new sound signature review this week? You betcha. Yeah, maybe even more than one. Oh my God, could there be more than one? Yeah, never know. Could be. Topic 3, thank you for supporting the effort. It's grassroots enthusiasm for the research. It's keeping this going, and it's heartwarming. And PEW Science members, frankly, are the cream of the crop. So I salute you. All right, topic 1 at a time. 10 minutes and 26 seconds. It's a little long-winded there, but man, it is what it is. Get some water. One moment. Okay. Yeah, this is crazy. Topic 1, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. BATF. The ATF, as we call them for short, eForm 1, Mass-Disapprovals. It's developing. What am I, a news organization? Developing story. It's like a beeping, like a Tom Brokaw. Walter Cronkite. Now, tell your friends. You may or may not be aware, there was recently a large amount of Form 1 applications for silencer manufacture denied by the ATF. That's right. So specifically, eForm 1s. Yeah, so. And I know there's a lot of folks listening to the podcast. Some folks actually don't care about this. They just like silencers and silencer accessories. A Form 1 is the standard ATF form filled. It's filled out by a non-manufacturer entity to become a manufacturer temporarily and manufacture an item subject to regulation under the National Firearms Act. That's kind of what it is. In so many words. So here's an example. So let's say maybe you want to make your own silencer, but you're not a licensed manufacturer. So, you can perfectly legally fill out a Form 1, write a check for $200, send it to the ATF, and when the ATF approves the form, cashes your check. Well, they cash your check first, let's be honest. They cash your check, they look at your form, they approve it, they put a stamp on it, a little stamp there, and that is indicative of an approved tax paid, and you now have in your hand a shiny new permission slip to be a manufacturer temporarily for one silencer. This coupon good for one silencer making, void where prohibited. No, that's really what it is. It's a coupon to make the silencer, but it's also like that get out of jail free card for like when the silencer exists after you make it. And it's true. And I say in jest, get out of jail free card, but in Texas, for example, it is a defense to prosecution to register a silencer in accordance with the NFA. Like if you have a silencer in Texas, it's illegal. Texas, it is illegal to own a silencer in Texas, but it is a defense to prosecution to have it registered in accordance with the NFA. See how that is? And I am not a lawyer, but I know that's true because they tell you that. You look at the law says that. If you read the Texas law, it says it is a defense to prosecution. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's in effect it's legal when it's registered. It's funny how that works. It's like, you can't have a silencer, but we won't arrest you. Like, oh no, that's not true. Let me back up. That's actually not true at all. No, it is illegal to have a silencer, but we will recognize your defense to prosecution for this breaking this law if you register it. And everyone's like, oh man, Texas is so free and we have the best gun laws and Texas is awesome. Well, okay, first of all, make no mistake, Texas is awesome. Okay, so keep that in mind at all times. However, it's the way the law's written, it's like, nah, dude. Silencers are not legal here. It's just we have a get out of jail free card when we register them. Isn't that that just like messes with your head when you really read the language of the. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but hey, that's what it says, man. So if I'm misinterpreting that, please let me know. And there might be some lawyers listening to this like, he's so wrong. Could be true. Now, when you get that form back approved with a stamp on it there, you can start making a silencer. You can. You get that form back, you're like, man, I got it. I have the golden ticket. I can make a silencer in my garage, and if the cops show up, I can tell them, hey guys, like, I'm making the silencer. I have this form from the ATF. They signed it. Call them. Call the ATF because it's a defense to prosecution in accordance with Texas law. And the cops will probably be like, okay, cool. Or they'll be like, what is the NFA? Or they'll be like, what's the ATF? And then you're like, oh, we got bigger problems. You know what I mean? Who knows? I'm just saying, hypothetically, this form is very important because your freedom is very important. Okay. So yeah, forms are good in protecting you. Protecting you is good. Everyone wants to be protected. Now, you're sitting in your garage, you're cutting metal, you're drilling metal, you're creating parts that are suitable to create a silencer. And then you might even create a silencer from those parts. Yeah? Because you have a form. You are a manufacturer of that item. You are manufacturing silencer parts and a silencer. I mean, this is what you're doing, dude. This is what you're doing. That's what the law says you're allowed to do. Many people do it every day. And this is not like some of you are listening to this like, this is insane. Really? We can do this? Like, yes, absolutely you can. People do it every day, dude. Totally normal. I mean, it's not the best thing to have to pay $200 to protect yourself from prosecution for making a silencer for your firearm, but that's the world we live in, and that's what we do if we are so inclined. Okay, so a bunch of people fill them out. They pay the $200 all the time. Now, a lot of people do this nowadays, specifically like when in the recent past, they do it in the eForm system. Fast. Yeah. Faster to get approval. People want silencers faster than within 1 year turnaround for a Form 4 wait. They're like, dude, I don't want to use paper form. I want to do eForm. It's so much faster, yada, yada. It's reasonable. People are impatient, but it's all, and that's fine. I'm not saying that being impatient is necessarily bad. People are impatient because that's the nature of humanity, and it's reasonable to be impatient for this. I mean, it's you're not only paying for the cost of materials and the tax and everything. Frankly, it's an infringement upon your inherent human rights to self-defense to have to wait to do something like this. So I get it. Now, all of a sudden, though, and everything was hunky dory. People were making stuff. Getting their form, they're paying their tax, getting their forms back. They're making stuff. They're learning about silencers. They're shooting silencers. Hey, that's like what we love to see. It's awesome. But now a bunch of folks are getting their forms denied. Like not just like one or two people, but like pretty much all the Form 1s that have been submitted since, I don't know, in February or so, or like maybe late January. I'm not sure of the exact cutoff, but a lot of people are getting, not everyone, but a lot of people are getting denied. It's interesting. It's interesting that that's happening, and I think it's worth talking about what the ATF, or not the ATF. The ATF doesn't define it. I think it's worth talking about what the U.S. law uses for the definition of a silencer. I think that's important. I mean, we live in the United States, and some people listening to this podcast don't, but let me explain our strange laws to you right now. So if you look you can look in the U.S. code, it's codified law here. in Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 921A, Part 24 here. Now, I'm going to read this verbatim. And this is actually, I got this from the U.S. Code. If you look on the ATF's website, the ATF also has this written. It's wrong. The ATF they have a typographical error in part of this. They actually have several typographical errors. And on their and I had their website. Let me pull it up because I am serious. Like, you're like, really? Like, yes. When you look at one of the guides for firearms verification and Gun Control Act definitions, it says, it's funny, it has subtext on the ATF's website where it's like, last reviewed April 26th, 2018. But I was looking at their description here of Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 921, A24. And it has some typos in it. I was like, really? I was like, God, because I read it and I was like, that doesn't make sense. They're missing the word and, I was like, that's not right. So I went to govinfo.gov, which has, the entire U.S. U.S. code in it. I think it might have been the 2012 version, whatever. It hasn't changed. So I went there and I wrote down the actual U.S. code. It says, and I quote, "The terms firearm silencer and firearm muffler mean any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of a portable firearm, including any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or firearm muffler, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication." Oh my God. That is a mouthful. Let's go little by little. The terms firearm silencer and firearm muffler. Okay, so silencer and muffler that apply to firearms. That's easy to understand that part of the sentence. Okay. So silencer and muffler mean any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of a portable firearm. Okay, so that's any device that makes the gunshot quieter. Okay, I'm not interpreting this. I am reading it, guys, and using synonyms. So please, like, if you're about to get really upset with me, like, don't get upset with me. Get upset with the U.S. code. I'm just the guy reading it. Okay, I'm going to continue. Any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of a portable firearm. That's, when it says diminishing the report of, dude, that means making it quieter. If you put something on your gun and it makes it quieter, it's a silencer, according with U.S. code. Okay, like that's what I'm saying. Now, does case law support that? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I'm just telling you. Okay, so that's that part of the sentence. I'm just saying. This is what it says. Okay. Now it goes on to say, including any combination of parts. Okay, so that's any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer. Stop right there. Now, that's crazy. When you really read this, you're like, really? It says, including any combination of parts. Like, any combination of parts. Designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer. So, if it's intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer, it's like, okay, what does that mean? Intended for? Well, how do you know what something's intended for? Well, we'll get to that, but I'm just reading it. Okay, so there's that, and then it says that so intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or muffler. Okay. Now the last part of the sentence, the last clause says, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. So it took all the other stuff and it didn't say or, it said and. So it says all the stuff we just talked about, and any part, use the word any, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. So that means if you have a part or a tool or anything that's only for use in assembling or fabricating a silencer, like it's only for that, it's a silencer. It is a silencer. That's what it says. I'm just saying what it says, which is it's a little crazy. When you read this Title 18 U.S. Code 921A24, when you read this paragraph, this sentence, it's actually not a paragraph, it's a sentence. When you read the sentence, it's a little crazy. Because, like, it's saying that, like, the first part, it makes sense that you're calling it that. It's like, well, a silencer and a muffler, for, a firearm silencer and a firearm muffler, well, it's any device that silences, muffles, or diminishes the report of a firearm. You're like, okay, well, that's probably one of the most logical definitions I've ever heard, that a firearm silencer silences a firearm. That's reasonable. Thank you for defining that for me, U.S. Code. So that part, I'm like, okay, I'm tracking. Reasonable, logical, makes sense, right? But then it starts talking about the parts. You're like, okay, so they're also meaning that parts are regular. Okay, parts, design, redesign, okay. But then it starts using that word intended. I'm like, man, intended? Intended? You're codifying intent? You're telling me you're codifying intended? That's interesting. So if you read this like we read it, like it's written, it says that stuff, something you put on the gun that makes it quieter is a silencer, for one, and all the parts of the silencer are also silencers, too. And if it's intended to help you make a silencer, and that doesn't only mean make, but put it together, it's a silencer. And if it's only intended for that, if it only exists to help you put a silencer together, it's a silencer. So when I read that, I'm like, damn, I got silencers everywhere when you really think about it. You know those tools that, like, those baffle pusher tools? I'm like, wait, is that like an anti-silencer because it's only intended to take a silencer apart? And then I was thinking about, like, the little plastic wrenches. I have one on my desk. Oh my God, it's right here. How convenient is that? And I did not plan this. I just picked it up. I have a little rugged end cap removal tool, right? It's made out of plastic. I guess they probably machined it. It's black. Anyone who has a rugged silencer, you can take it. It has 4 little tabs. It's plastic. It's a piece of plastic. You can put it onto the end of a rugged silencer end cap, and you can unscrew the end cap. Well, you know what else you could do? You can also screw the end cap tightly. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, guys. I had to pause this recording really quick because I heard, like, this really loud gangster rap outside, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but why? It's kind of late. So I paused it and I went to the door. It was an Amazon delivery driver. The dude's, like, blasting gangster rap, like, super loud. I'm like, dude, it's pretty late. I'm not sure you should be doing that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah. So this, I'm like, oh, this country is so great. So this rugged, maybe it's Delrin. I don't know what material they machine it from, but I was thinking under this U.S. code, this U.S. code 24, Title 18, Section 921A24, without even going on, without even looking at anything else, this piece of plastic that Rugged gives you with your silencer to take the end cap off or put it on, This is a silencer, isn't it? Under this definition. I mean, they don't say that. I mean, no one regulates it. But but you know why I'm saying it's a silencer? Because it says any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. Dude, it assembles a silencer. It puts the end cap on. Doesn't it? Or maybe because case law doesn't support that. Maybe because I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reading the law. Maybe that's why you need lawyers, so they can interpret what the law says. Because right now I'm just reading this, and maybe assembling a silencer is different than putting it together. Maybe assembling means something else. See how this is tricky when you start infringing on rights? It's like it doesn't make any sense. So you see what I mean? Like we've talked about, this is like, we've been going on for what? We started this topic at 10 minutes, so I've been talking 20 minutes. First I defined what a Form 1 was, so you know. Then I'm telling you people are getting their Form 1s denied. Now all I did was start to tell you what the United States defines a silencer to be. And we just now finished that. And I'm already confused. Okay, so let's go on. Why not? Let me just read that one more time in summary, and then we'll go on. The term firearm silencer and firearm muffler mean any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of a portable firearm, including any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or firearm muffler, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. That's what it says. Now, let me read you what the ATF gave as a reason for disapproval. Because, all these folks online, they submit their eForm 1s because they're like, hey, maybe they have a lathe in their garage and they want to machine something. Or maybe they bought some parts that they didn't think were silencer parts, and they were going to modify them after getting an approved Form 1, and they were going to, use that as their get out of jail free card, use that as their permission slip, and they were going to make a silencer. Seems reasonable. It's right. I mean, that's what they were going to do. Maybe that was their intent. Okay. So let's see. They're all getting their forms denied now. Let's see what they said. Let's see what the ATF says. Reason for disapproval. And I'm going to read this in its entirety. Okay. Reason for disapproval. A silencer is defined under federal law to include, in relevant part, any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or firearm muffler, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. So they're changing the words around, and that is clearly not what I just read out of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 921A24. That's not what I just read. They changed the words around. Okay? So I'm just telling you right now, like before I go on, these guys, they're saying a silencer is defined under federal law to now they're just saying what it includes in the definition, but I'm telling you right now, they changed, they're not repeating it verbatim. Okay, so let me start over. Reason for disapproval. A silencer is defined under federal law to include in relevant part any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or firearm muffler, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. Okay, so remember, that is actually the final clause of Title 18, Section 921A24, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. Okay, and they repeated that. Okay, that's probably worth noting. Cool. Now it says, see Gun Control Act, GCA, at Title 18, U.S. Code 921A24, and National Firearms Act, NFA, at Title 26, U.S. Code 5845. Okay, and all that means is, the Gun Control Act said these are silencers, and that means that they're subject to controls of the National Firearms Act. That's like, it goes with it, right? Like peas in a pod. Now, so they start their reason for disapproval with their citing U.S. Code. They're like, hey, guess what? This is what a silencer is according to the law. Cool. Okay. Now, look what they say after that. They say, parts that fall under the definition of silencer must comply with the registration, tax, and transfer provisions of the NFA. Meaning, if it's a silencer, you got to file a form. Okay, cool. We're all on the same page. We agree. We know that. That's why we did it. We file a Form 1. That's why you're thinking, right? You're like, yeah, that's what I did. See, that's what you do. That's what you do. You do. So, okay, cool. It says, it's got to comply with the registration, tax, and transfer provisions of the NFA. And then it goes on to say, upon review of your eForm 1 application, the part from which you intend to make a silencer already meets the NFA's definition of a silencer. It's like, oh, it does? Huh. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. and then it goes on. It's like, so ATF saying, well, I know you want to make this silencer. And it says the part from which you intend to make a silencer is already a silencer. So how did you know what I'm going to make, dude? That's wild. Okay. It says the part was not registered nor transferred in compliance with the NFA. Therefore, your eForm 1 application to make a silencer is disapproved. So it's like they're saying, well, dude, you just applied to make a silencer, but you're intending to make it from parts that are already a silencer. So and because those parts weren't already registered, it's an illegal silencer. Because the last sentence says, NFA division notes that it's unlawful for you to possess a silencer made or transferred in violation of the NFA. Title 26 U.S. Code 5861B. See, it's like, wait, what? So it's almost like this is written to certain people. Yeah, and that's what it says. Because it says, like, there's the sentence in here that says, upon review of your eForm 1 application, the part from which you intend to make a silencer already meets the NFA's definition of a silencer. So that's kind of interesting, right? It's like they're saying they know what you intend to make a silencer from. Or they're like, we know what you're going to do, and whatever you do, it's illegal. Straight to jail. Believe it or not, straight to jail. That's what they're saying. And it's like, that's so interesting. Because, you wouldn't think that they would say it like this, because this implies that they know what you're doing, but you haven't done anything yet. And so it's really interesting. It's almost like they're supposing that you did something, that you had something, right? That you had a piece of something. How would they know that? How would they know what you intend to use? It's interesting. Okay, and you might be hearing this, and you might be really mad that, and you should be mad. Because it's not necessarily the words themselves that should make you mad, but regulation of any firearm or firearm part is a flagrant violation of your inherent human right to self-defense. Like, that's just and that's what it is. And in the United States, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, it prohibits the U.S. government from infringing upon the right to self-defense. I mean, we know that. Theoretically. Okay, so that's why you should be upset about gun control at a basic level. That's just a basic level. I'm saying this as someone who owns guns legally under U.S. code. I'm just saying my opinion of it, and we're allowed to have opinions, and the opinion is that gun control is not right. It's not right. Now, we got to talk about the topic at hand, though, here. So, really what it's saying is when a part's designed or redesigned and intended for the use in assembling or fabricated firearm, silencer, firearm muffler, any part intended for use in such assembly or function. It's a silencer. Silencer parts are silencers, right? I think that people have ruled that before, that silencer parts are silencers in and of themselves. I mean, that's what the U.S. Code says. This is what it says. Okay, so I mean, you want to get uncomfortable? Let's get uncomfortable. I'm going to say some stuff that's going to make you mad. Okay? I mean, why not? You're already mad. Let's make you more mad. Let's say you buy a kit of stuff on the internet, and it's supposed to hold liquid. Yeah, that's the intent of this. It's supposed to hold liquid. We'll call them cups. Yeah. Cups are machined such that they would fit inside a tube and shape gas flow in a way that they would function as a silencer baffle if you drilled a hole through them. ATF calls it a silencer part. You haven't drilled a hole yet, but the ATF calls it a silencer part now, according to this. Yeah. You might say, Jay, you're off base. You're crazy. I can use washers inside a tube, and they can function as a silencer part when assembled too. It's the same thing. That means a washer is a silencer part, and a tube is a silencer part, and they can't regulate all tubes and washers. So that's the same thing. You're crazy. They took our chips. You're wrong. And yeah, you're right. It's the same thing, dude. Like that, you're saying the same thing I'm saying. I mean, I agree with you, and that's the problem. My speculation is that the ATF's trying to say it's not the same thing. I think that's what they're going to try to do, and I would further speculate that they're going to consider these solvent traps have parts that are threaded in common firearm barrel thread pitches, and the cups are shaped exactly like sophisticated baffle designs that have taken years of refinement to fully understand with regard to gas dynamics. And now, and all they take is a hole for drilling, guys. I mean, look, I'm a strong proponent of complete deregulation of silencers, like 100%. However, currently there is no way the ATF is going to let this keep happening. Like, I don't think so. Let me get a drink of water 1 second. I feel like it was a matter of time in a way, and it sucks to even say that, but I don't know. It was funny. I was talking with one of my gun friends the other night. I think it was last night. Yeah. And it was funny, and he's probably listening to this. His name will remain anonymous to protect the innocent, his name will remain anonymous to protect the anonymous. We both brought up a similar point independently. He works in the silencer industry, and he was saying, I don't know. And actually, I think gun guys listening will identify with this if you've been around a while. I took some time off from guns in my life due to other stuff going on, and I came back into the game, and pistol braces had been invented, and then started to be sold and stuff. I couldn't believe it. I asked my gun friends, I was like, man, are there things that are stocks and work like stocks and kind of look like stocks, but people say they're not stocks, and I don't have to make an SBR to use these things? Is this real? I was like, nah, dude. I was like, this is an ATF honeypot. I'm not buying one of these. I was like, there's no way this is legal. That and people told me, yeah, they're called pistol braces. I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that's cool. And I had every reason to be skeptical, because up until that point, I had never in a million years seen anything like that. I was like, no, this gun this is an AR, dude, and it has a barrel less than 16 inches. I gotta file Form 1. Let me mail my forms, get my fingerprints done, send it through the mail, wait a bit, get my Form 1 back, put my stock on the gun. I mean, that's like what we did forever. You know what I mean? Like that, I was like, yeah. So when I came back in the game and I saw there was these thing called pistol braces, I was like, no, this is not a pistol brace. It's a stock. Now I'm not telling you that pistol braces are stocks. What I'm telling you is my impression when I first saw them. Just because I didn't see them like you saw them, probably. Like I saw them like all of a sudden. Like you got to keep in mind, like I didn't see him at all, and then one day I just like Googled stuff again to like get back into guns, and all of a sudden like consumer guns, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't have to file a Form 1. What? Yeah, you understand. So that's why like I think I was kind of justified in that reaction. And according, like when I was having this conversation with my buddy last night, like he was telling me like he thought the same thing, and like all his buddies that have been in the game for a long time thought the same thing too. They're like, yeah, we didn't think like that was okay. Like we thought for sure ATF was going to come down on that, and like they didn't. Well, at least they've tried a couple times, but like, you know, everyone's been pretty surprised that the braces are still there. I mean, honestly, like I'm pretty surprised. Like, and honestly, just my end game with that. As soon as I found out about them, I thought I think I bought a couple of them just to mess with them. But I Form 1'd all my stuff, like just because like I'm like I'm gonna Form 1 it. I like stocks, and plus like you buy a brace, you have to pay for the brace anyway. What's a tax stamp and a stock? Like whatever. Like, you know, and I know, is that like philosophical? Like, am I not hardline enough because I bowed to the crown? Like, okay, well, you know, I also don't like to go to jail, so there's that. So yeah, so I haven't, you know, I Form 1'd various things. Now, I did think it was temporary. I thought maybe braces were a temporary loophole. Just assumed. You know, just a line of thinking. And turns out I was wrong. Turns out they're not. They seem to be fine, and everyone uses them. And you know, there are people that actually use them like braces. And look, I'm not trying to denigrate or talk down to folks that are disabled and need to use a pistol brace with one arm to shoot, but let's be honest with each other. Okay? Like, come on, guys. Like, who like how big is the brace market? Okay. And how many of those people use them like that? Okay, come on, man. So like, I mean, like, and you're gonna get mad at me for saying it. It's like, come on, man, be real, dude. Like, let's just be real. Talk like you're talking with your friends. Don't talk like you're talking to strangers on the internet and pretend you're something different than you are. Okay, just be normal. So you go back to this solvent trap stuff. Okay, complete. It's not braces, just solvent traps. Solvent trap silencer kit. It's sort of similar to the brace thing in some ways, I think. I mean, it's a little different, but it's kind of cut from the same cloth, isn't it? ATF wants their money, yeah? Yeah, they want their money, man. They want to regulate stuff, dude. That's like what they love. They love it. That's why they exist. Like, people make fun of the ATF all the time, right? But well, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't use the word but. I should say, and the mandate of the firearm portion of that organization, like the F in ATF, and this is not exact, but they want to keep track of all the firearms and make sure that the use of the firearms, the manufacture of the firearms, the disposition of the firearms is in accordance with U.S. law. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, if you talk to your local ATF guy, if you're an SOT, whatever, and your ATF guy comes in to do your inspection, you talk to him about this stuff, and he's like, we need to make sure we know where the guns are. That's what their job is. Like, you know, you go to work, you have a job, you do your job. Like, the ATF dude, that's what he thinks he's doing. He's like, well, I want to make sure I know what the guns are. Where are the guns? And you look at the guns and match the serial numbers with the records. Okay, you look good in the bound book. It's like, yeah. He's like, okay, cool. I did my job. I know where the guns are. Okay, so that's what on paper. Like, that's basically what they do in so many words, right? Like, that's, I mean, you can talk about, yeah, they shoot dogs and fine, probably true. But no, but what I'm saying is like high level. They're like, we want to track where the guns are and we want to know where they are. We want to make sure people are using them right and not killing everybody. I mean, that's really not what they're doing. They're not law enforcement in that way, but they're basically, they're administratively tracking gun disposition. So when an agency like that sees a bunch of companies spring up like pretty fast in the big scope of things and start selling kits that are essentially intended to be made into silencers. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're just being honest with yourself, just be honest with yourself. Yeah, the U.S. code that we just read a while back in this podcast, it says that those are now regulated by the NFA. That's what the ATF is saying right now. If you seriously go back and rewind to where I said it was Title 18 of U.S. Code, Section 921A24. Just read it, and then go to a solvent trap website and forget solvent trap. Don't even use that word. Use a popular brand name that I get asked to test all the time at PEW Science. Hey, Jay, when are you going to test so-and-so armament thing? It comes with a little thing, you can drill it. When are you going to test that? What do you mean test it? That's not a silencer. Well, you know what I mean. Well, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean test it? Do you mean like what, like a metallurgy? You want me to test the hardness of that part? Well, no, I want you to test how quiet it is. Well, what do you mean quiet? Well, it's a silencer. Well, no, it's not a silencer. It's a... You see what I mean? You see what I deal with that too. All the time people ask me, well, when are you going to start to test Form 1 stuff? What does that even mean? What, you want people to start drilling holes in items and then sending them to me? Or do you want me to drill the holes in the item and not Form 1 them, but Form 2 them? Because PEW Science is an SOT. Do you want me to test Form 2 silencers? Or do you want me to test Form 1 silencers sent to me by the manufacturer of those items with their approved Form 1? Or do you want me, what do you want me to do? And you see what I mean? And I know, I'm asking these questions rhetorically, and you understand that I know exactly what you're saying. I'm not stupid. But also, I'm saying these words in the way I'm saying them to make you think about what the ATF is thinking too. This is all a game. All right, this is all it's like there are no rules, and the points are made up, and you're gonna play this game. And guess what? Tomorrow there's gonna be no rules, and the points are made up too. And every day after that, there are no rules, and the points are made up. Or there are no points and the rules are made up, or however the saying goes. What I'm saying is this is going to continue. All right, it's going to continue, and I'm telling you, and this is what, and I would not tell you this if I didn't have it from several sources. The ATF has been going one by one to the solvent trap companies and examining the stuff that they're selling and determining whether or not they meet the definition of items intended to be made into silencers. And if they do, they're saying you're selling silencers that are without authorization. And then more of those companies were springing up, and then the ATF was going to those. And they're shutting those down too. That's what they're doing, dude. That's what's happening. So now you got to ask yourself, well, they're doing that all at once to folks that have filed eForm 1s. And it's not only the folks that have bought solvent traps. I was going to say silencer kits. It's not only folks that bought solvent traps. It's folks that they haven't bought anything, dude. They're totally on the up and up. These guys they're filing a Form 1. They're waiting for it to come back, and it doesn't even take that long because it's eForm 1. So it doesn't even take that long. It's not like they're waiting 6 months to a year. They're waiting like a month or two. They're getting their form back approved with a stamp, dude. That's what people are doing. And now with this current batch, people were doing the same thing they've always been doing. These people haven't bought anything. They paid their $200. They filed the Form 1. They filed their fingerprints. These guys are ready to rock. They're like, man, I can't wait to get my Form 1 back. I'm gonna manufacture my silencer. I have these cool plans. I've been saving up for a mini lathe. I'm learning machining. I'm learning about different metals. I'm learning about different tooling. I'm learning about fixturing. I'm learning about like dial indicators. I'm getting a hobby. It's gonna be super fun, and I'm doing it on the up and up, and I'm doing it legally. And I might even get my son involved. I'm gonna turn it into a hobby. We're gonna spend quality time together. I'm gonna teach my son how to make baffles. It's gonna turn him into a man. We're gonna make this country great. It's gonna be, they're getting excited. They're like, maybe their son is drawing pictures of silencers because he's so excited he's gonna get involved with his dad. They're doing a father-son project. I'm just painting a picture. All right. That's what's happening, and now they're getting denied all at once. Blanket, across the board. Blanket denials. So why? Why is ATF doing that to everybody? I saw online some people are thinking, well, it must be an administrative error. Like the ATF must have been hitting a button, and someone hit the button too many times, and it's an error. And I was like, man, that really? I was like, that that could be true. But you think they hit like select all in the column and said like disapprove, denied? That would be pretty ballsy. I don't know. I think that usually when something like this happens, there's some method to the madness. I would say. Folks have been telling me. I've had several messages online of folks telling me they have lawyers already. Man, they're already lawyering up. They're hearing that this is going to be coming from high up at the ATF. There's perhaps going to be a statement released more than that was just given in the disapproval notice and the denial notice in the eForms. Like, I don't know any about that. That's all speculation to me because I haven't seen it. I have a theory though. My theory is I think they're hitting the reset button. I mean, if I had to guess, right? I mean, if you're going to speculate, let's speculate. I think eForm 4 is alive, right? They're doing it. I think the system's just been improved. It's a little faster. Maybe ATF's hot on the trail of some solvent trap manufacturers. I don't know. Maybe they released a statement. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they felt it easier to go ahead and mass deny the eForm 1s. Maybe they say, oh, we're going to sort out the details later. Administratively. Say, we'll just deny these for now because we're doing the solvent trap stuff. It's getting hairy. Let's just deny all these forms. Maybe we issue some guidance and we can kind of, clean out the database. I'm just guessing. Maybe they're buying time. You know what I mean? I feel like this, to me, it's like the calm before the storm. It's like the first, it's like the first shot fired. Like, okay, shots fired. What's going on? And everyone's like kind of quiet. Like, wait, are they going to shoot again? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just a theory. So I was thinking, I was like, well, what do you do? Like right now, if you're a Form 1 guy, right now, and you're using solvent traps to make silencers. Like, let's say you just got your Form 1 back and the Form 1 is approved. And you're about to use a solvent trap kit. And you're like, okay, I have my approved legal Form 1. I have full lawful permission to manufacture the silencer. I'm going to start manufacturing. I'm going to use parts from the solvent trap kit to start making my silencer parts. I am not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. But I would think about waiting a little bit, maybe. I know you have an approved form. It's just that I don't see a reasonable, lawful way to manufacture a Form 1 silencer with a solvent trap as your starting point, given the current events and statements from the ATF. I just do not see. And the reason it doesn't matter what I think. What I'm trying to help you understand is that if it ends up being contraband, you're probably going to be okay administratively. But you might be out time and money. And I don't even know how they would enforce it, because that puzzles me. Because it's like, if they didn't know what parts you used to make the silencer, and you have the approved Form 1 and you made it, the only thing I could think of is that they have some kind of record of what you bought or used. Now, if they have that, maybe they get you. But other than that, I don't know how they know. So I'd just be tentative, and if maybe you got your stuff from somewhere, maybe you check and see if someone knows what you bought, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I'd hate for you to waste money and do something where maybe, I don't know, maybe you already bought it, maybe it's not, maybe the money's already sunk cost. I don't know. Or maybe if they deny you, if they ask for it back, maybe, you still get a $200 refund. So maybe you put that $200 towards a tax stamp somewhere else. I don't know. I'm trying to give you guys some kind of strategy, but maybe we just don't know. A lot of folks understand, you might theoretically want to say, the secret ingredient is crime. Theoretically, but that's not something about which anyone can advise you. No one can really advise you with regard to that. So that's a recipe, and no one can really read to you from that recipe book. You got to consult your inner self to understand your proclivities and your tolerances. So you're human, and you have free will as a human. So I'd say Godspeed. I'm gonna keep up to date with it, and when I know more, I'll try to distribute information and help you guys learn more. I posted some on my social media. I posted some links the other day in a story post to some folks. The NFA subreddit is out there. They have a discussion going, kind of tracking these ongoing denials for eForm 1s. I think some folks saw some stuff on Facebook. I'm not really a Facebook guy, so I haven't seen it. There's some other resources too. There's a Form 1 forums that are out there. You can find and register there and speak with other people that are dealing with it. You got to keep in mind, this is now involving legal implications, so a lot of people are going to be careful what they say on the internet. And that's probably good advice, because, when you say stuff online, it can kind of be there forever. So just be careful. So that's kind of my advice there. There are communities, that, you can get help from. Maybe you can reach out to your local NFA dealer. Your local NFA dealer might be able to give you some information. They might be able to put you in touch with the, local representative of the ATF, if that's something you're interested in, it's speaking with. That may not be the best course of action. It just depends. It kind of just depends how deep you are in this. So yeah, there's various things you could do. All right, now there's one thing I wanted to say here, and because undoubtedly people are going to say, well, I know the solution. The solution is to repeal the NFA, to repeal the National Firearms Act. And I have to say, guys, I heard recently the most incredibly interesting argument regarding that. Like, I mean, some people say, like me, like some people, I mean, a lot of people actually, and me argue, or I argue that all gun laws are infringements. Like I said that earlier, I believe that. And so on principle, like idealistically, I'm like, yeah, like all gun laws are infringement. Like we shouldn't have the NFA. Like, yeah. Like idealistically, like in my heart of hearts, I think to myself, I just don't think we should. I don't think it works, and I don't think we should have it. Now pragmatically, this is an argument I've heard. This is not my argument; it's just an argument I heard, and I thought it was interesting. The argument goes like this: it says, if you keep the NFA, you'll protect silencers. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't know. That seems kind of lazy. But, the guy went on to say, he said, well, if you repeal the NFA, silencers may no longer be firearms. And then they can't be protected like firearms. And then states could possibly outlaw them immediately. And I was like, huh. So that's a jump. I was like, they wouldn't be firearms. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, yeah, I guess they wouldn't be. Any accessories? They could then the states could ban them. That's interesting. I started thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, could they ban silencers? Like they could possibly ban braces. Put the brace on a gun. And I just started thinking about it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, is this guy right? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not a lawyer. And on the surface, that argument does not hold water with me. Like I hear it, I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm skeptical. Like I want to be receptive to it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want that to be true. I was like, I don't know. It doesn't seem right. But I don't know, man. The people who've been saying this argument to me, they're smart people, and the people, they're involved with gun politics. And I'm like, these guys might know what they're talking about. I was like, that's weird. I don't know. I'm really confused, honestly, about that. So, but when these folks that have been telling me stuff, I tend to listen at least a little bit, and I consider their arguments. So it's interesting. I mean, I would love to learn more about that type of scenario, and I think it takes some legal study and certainly more legal expertise than I possess currently. So this is just some food for thought. Okay, and maybe this will stimulate some community discussion, but really, like I have not really given a lot of thought to pragmatically keeping the NFA to protect the very nature of silencers. It's weird to me, because I always make that argument that I feel like they could outlaw silencers tomorrow when something bad happens with them, like what happened with bump stocks, right? They turned bump stocks into machine guns overnight, which was like not legal because a bump stock's not a machine gun. And then I was thinking, well, a bump stock isn't a gun. So them reclassifying as something maybe was easier for them. I don't know, really weird. Maybe it's not the best example, but they took something that wasn't a gun and made it a gun. And maybe if silencers weren't firearms, what are they going to make them firearms again? See the problem with all this? It's all intellectual spaghetti. God. I was hoping this topic was going to be like really, really good. And I was going to try to help people by shedding some light on this, but it's just so tiresome. I think we just got to move on. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Topic 2, a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes. And 46 seconds. Yeah. New sound signature review this week. Let's get a little positive. I don't know how. I mean, I don't even know how to celebrate at this point with all this stuff going on. I feel like dark days. Got a new war going on, plus eForm 1 denials. Man. I don't want to say that bad things come in threes, so let's just focus on the positive. New sound signature review this week. Yeah, maybe more than one. I'm going to see how fast I can work. I'm trying to get some stuff out for you guys. I'm behind. But there's good stuff coming. There is. And interestingly enough, you'll find that the data release this week is somewhat related to the previous topic in a way, at least indirectly. There's a hint for you. You can see people guess what that is. As technology proliferates, as knowledge proliferates, we see an advancement in technology in general, I think, overall. And more specifically, I think we see refinement. Yeah, that's a good word. We see refinement of certain technologies. And we see a focus on results and efficiency. That's, I think, something we're seeing. That's something big. And I was thinking about it, and it almost leads you to think about seeing it's almost an evolution. It's what I would call an evolution, really. It literally for example, take evolutionary biology or some kind of theoretical study of how organisms evolve over time to possess traits that make them more likely to survive or flourish or do better, or pick something. This is just, I'm not speaking strictly. I'm loosely describing the gist of this, right? So I feel like we see that with silencers in a way, right? Like what if you could start to strip away superfluous things from silencers that some folks didn't care about? Yeah? But you maintain performance thresholds that were significant. Like you trim the fat. Could you do that? Like what if you did that, and then as a result you could drive down cost, and therefore evolutionarily you could get some points to keep your species going a little longer. You feel me? Maybe it performs well, but also maybe it's cost effective enough to also proliferate more. Maybe it's more fertile. You feel me? So, you understand where I'm going with this? So maybe evolution in silencers might be a progression of both performance and economy. Yeah? I was thinking about this the other day. So, it's interesting because we don't want to think about evolution in those terms when it comes to complicated or high performance products, really. We're like, no, we need to have the most awesome, crazy, so we shy away. We're like, well, budget sucks. Yeah, it's cheap. It sucks. Get what you pay for. Don't be poor. That's fine. A lot of people say that, and a lot of times they're right. I mean, a lot of stuff that cheap is today. A lot of stuff that is cheap does suck. That's true. That's definitely true. And so a lot of times we don't want to think about economy and efficiency of manufacture and things like that. We don't want to think about economy when it comes to complicated or high performance stuff. I think sometimes because a lot of cheap stuff sucks. But the fact of the matter is, the market itself is where the evolution must exist. The market is the world for the product. Just like the world is for the organism. So if you're on the Galapagos Islands and you're all the species that are isolated and they're evolving over time, and people looked at those and they figured out certain traits about them, that was their ecosystem. The market is the ecosystem for the products. So if market proliferation depends heavily on economy, is your evolution going to be affected by that factor? I don't know. This is one of those times I just started thinking one time, and I was like, and then, the reviews that I'm going to release this week reminded me of it. So you got a podcast topic. Stay tuned for data. Okay. Topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 47 seconds. Okay, yeah. Thank you for supporting the effort, really, frankly. All you guys listening, all you guys donating on the website, all you guys joining PEW Science. Grassroots, it really is. You're enthusiastic, and your enthusiasm for the research is keeping it going, which is cool. And the PEW Science members are the creme de la creme. The cream of the crop, dude. I've sent welcome emails to almost all of you, but not all of you yet, so stand by. But when you guys join, I do tend to ask you where you found PEW Science. I'm like, yeah, because that information is really neat for me personally. I want to understand it, and I tell you the truth, without maintaining OPSEC here, but man, more and more people are finding it in the most interesting spots and by the most interesting methods, and it's cool to see. I love it. It's awesome. The effort's working. And I know I always tell you folks, I don't care about what you buy. Like, I know I say that. And that I also tell you that PEW Science is not a what should I buy service. Like, it's totally not. But I have to say, the data and analysis I have been producing has been influencing some of my own silencer purchasing decisions. It has. I can't help it. But I know what I want. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. I was thinking about that because I always tell you, no, I'm not going to tell you what to buy. And then I look at my own data and I'm like, am I telling myself what to buy? No, I'm not. I like to know what I'm buying. And that's kind of why I look at my data. I want to know what I'm signing up for. You know what I mean? Because also and this was kind of related to that, Advanced Armament, AAC, they seem to be coming back online slowly but surely. And I'm actually kind of excited to test some of the older stuff and see how it really stacks up to some of the newer stuff. I am. I bet some of those results are going to be very interesting. I really do. I think they're going to be very interesting for the entire industry. And we could really find out some cool phenomena, I bet, about those products. Those products like silencers that a lot of people have known about for a very long time now. I think it might be cool. I'm actually looking forward to it, to see those coming back into the mix. I heard they're actually making modular back ends for some of the rifle silencers. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, isn't that wild? Could you imagine like testing like an M4 2000 against the Surefire and like seeing what the sound difference is? That'd be cool. Isn't it a lot bigger than the Surefire RC2 though? If I remember correctly, I thought it was. Anyway, yeah, you folks that support the effort are top tier. You are, and I mean that sincerely. And I watch you interact with people in various places too, which is cool. And you seem to have high standards. You seem to exhibit an incredible knowledge base that I like to think is fostered by the effort and spurred on by the effort. So I would say that you're based. Yeah. I would say that there are based PEW Science members out there, and I really love to see it. It's great. So please stay tuned for data this week, friends. It's going to be cool. And this is a quick podcast. Thank you for listening, and I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.